If Alma Danso had known that morning would be the last time she'd see her mother's eyes open, she would have clung to her hand a little tighter, whispered, "I love you," one more time, and maybe even sung her that lullaby her mother always hummed when the power went out. The hospital room at Koralbu Teaching Hospital in Accra was far too quiet for a place that had once echoed with her mother's laughter. 10-year-old Alma sat beside the bed, her small hands gently wrapped around her mother's fragile fingers. The 4 beeped rhythmically, but her mother's breaths came slow. "Far too slow, Mama," Alma whispered, trying to hold back tears. "Are you going to get better soon?" Her mother stirred gently, her eyelids fluttering like butterflies. Even in her sickness, her smile held beauty, the kind that made Alma feel safe. "My sweet Alma," her mother said, her voice no louder than a breeze, "I want you to remember this always. No matter what happens, I will never stop loving you. Never." Alma blinked fast. "But we're going home, right? You and me." Her mother only smiled, closed her eyes, and that was the last time Alma ever saw her soul peek through those eyes. That night, under the heavy Accra rain, Mama Danso passed away. 3 months had passed since the funeral. Their once bright home in East Legon now felt like an empty shell. Mr. Danso, Alma's father, buried himself in his real estate work, often traveling between Cape Coast and Kumasi. He barely spoke anymore. The light in his eyes had dimmed. Alma missed everything about her mother, her warm hugs, her melodic humming while stirring banku, her stories about the moon being a watchful grandmother. Nights were hardest. Alma would cry into her pillow, whispering, "Mama, please come back. Just for a minute." Sometimes, she swore she could smell her mother's favorite perfume, jasmine and shea butter, wafting through her room. Sometimes, she'd feel fingers stroking her hair, calming her when she was too restless to sleep. But when she turned around, there was never anyone there. Mr. Danso noticed her sadness, but he was battling his own storm. Then, one day, he returned from Kumasi with unexpected news. "Alma," he said, smiling for the first time in months, "I want you to meet someone special." A tall woman in a vibrant Kent headwrap stepped into their living room. She had a sweet smile and eyes that seemed warm, at least at first. "Hello, Alma," she said. "I'm Madame Elsie. Your father tells me you're very smart." She handed Alma a doll dressed in Ghanaian traditional clothes. "I hope we'll be friends." Alma, starved for affection, clung to that hope. Elsie made her father laugh again. She cooked delicious meals and helped Alma with homework. When they got married at a modest church in Adenta, Alma wore a yellow lace dress and held flowers just like a bridesmaid. She told her classmates, "Now I have a new mama." For a while, the house was filled with laughter again. Elsie braided her hair into pretty cornrows and taught her how to tie her wrapper properly. "You're like the daughter I never had," she'd say, hugging Alma tightly. But the winds were about to shift. The joy in their home didn't vanish overnight. It faded, quietly, like sunlight slipping beneath the ocean. At first, Alma thought Madame Elsie was simply tired. She no longer braided her hair or hummed while cooking. Her smiles grew stiff, her voice lost its warmth. One afternoon, as Alma dropped her school bag by the couch, Elsie snapped, "Must you always scatter the house like a street child?" Alma blinked, unsure what she had done wrong. "I'm sorry, Auntie. Sorry won't clean this mess. Pick that up." Now. It became more frequent. Criticism over things Alma barely understood, plates not scrubbed enough, socks not folded correctly, her footsteps too loud. Still, she hoped it was just mood swings. But everything changed the day her father left for a 2-week business trip to Tamale. That morning, as his car reversed out of their compound, Alma waved goodbye from the porch. Madame Elsie stood beside her, hand on her waist, expression unreadable. But the moment the gate closed behind the car, her face transformed. She turned sharply to Alma. "Now listen very carefully, little girl," she hissed. "While your father is away, I run this house. No more laziness. You'll earn your food. Am I clear?" Alma's eyes widened. "Yes, Auntie." Elsie handed her a list. "Sweep the compound. Wash the dishes. Scrub the bathroom. Wash all laundry, by hand. Mop the entire floor, but I have school tomorrow." Alma said timidly, "Then wake up earlier," Elsie snapped. "You will do what I say. That's final." That night, Alma collapsed on the thin mat in the corner of the living room, her fingers blistered from scrubbing the floor. She wasn't allowed to sleep in her bed anymore. Elsie said it was a privilege, not a right. Alma cried into her pillow, silently mouthing, "Mama, help me." Then she smelled it. Jasmine. Soft and sweet, drifting in the air with no source. Her heart fluttered. A presence enveloped her, gentle but unmistakable. And then, arms. Warm arms wrapped around her from behind, though no one was there. A familiar voice whispered, "Be strong, my daughter. I am always with you." She gasped and turned. The room was empty. But the fear had gone. The next day, Alma rose at 5 a.m., sore and aching, to begin her chores. The pattern repeated: kindness when her father was home, cruelty the moment he left. Madame Elsie gave her meager food, sometimes skipping meals altogether. She forbade her from touching her schoolbooks unless her chores were perfect. Her once bright home had become a silent prison. At school, Ms. Nyarko noticed. "Alma," she said gently after class, "you've been looking tired lately. Are you all right at home?" Alma hesitated. She wanted to scream the truth. To show the welts on her hands, the hunger in her stomach. But fear wrapped its hand around her throat. "I'm fine, Ma," she lied. Ms. Nyarko didn't believe her. But she didn't push. One night, after scrubbing the veranda till her knees ached, Alma lay on the mat again. This time, her mother appeared in full light, no longer mist. She wore a white dress that shimmered like moonlight. "Mama," Alma cried. "My precious girl," her mother whispered. "You must be patient. Your time will come. When? I feel so alone. Very soon. But you must prepare. Study hard. Your education is your key. When the door opens, you must be ready to walk through it." And with that, she vanished, but this time, Alma felt something new settle in her chest: hope. For weeks, Alma moved like a shadow in her own home, seen only when work needed doing, heard only when scolded. Her hands were always raw, her eyes dim, but inside her heart, something new had begun to flicker: resolve. She remembered what her mother had said: "Your education is your key. When the door opens, be ready to walk through it." She didn't know when or how that door would appear, but she promised herself, when it did, she'd be ready. It happened one hot afternoon at Iensu Memorial Primary School. The ceiling fan buzzed lazily above the class as Ms. Nyarko wrote something exciting on the chalkboard: a CRA Rising Scholars Competition. She turned, smiling wide. This is a national competition. The winner will receive a full scholarship to any secondary school in Ghana, plus support through university. The class burst into chatter. Alma sat up straighter. A scholarship? Could that be the door? But only one student can represent our school, Ms. Nyarko added. And I have made my decision. She turned toward Alma. Alma Danso will represent us. Alma's mouth fell open. Her classmates clapped, and some even cheered. For a moment, she couldn't breathe. After class, Alma ran to her teacher. Madam. Are you sure? Me. Ms. Nyarko placed a hand on her shoulder. You have a gift, Alma. And I know there's more behind your eyes than you let the world see. At home, Alma wrestled with the news. She wanted to shout it in joy, but fear caged her voice. Still, the next day, she tried. Auntie Elsie, she began gently at dinner, my school chose me for a competition. If I win, I could go to the best school in Accra. She hoped for a smile. Instead, she got silence, then, a bitter laugh. Competition? Who gave you permission for that nonsense? Alma shrank back. But, before she could finish, Madame Elsie slapped her hard across the face. Alma stumbled, gasping, You ungrateful rat. Elsie snarled. You think you're better than everyone now? You will not disgrace me with this nonsense. No competition. Forget school. Focus on the house. That night, she locked Alma in the storage room, without food or water. In the pitch-black room, Alma sobbed. Mama. I'm trying. The air shifted. Jasmine filled the room. I am here, her mother's voice said. This is your path. You must find a way. The next morning, Elsie let her out with a fake smile. Have you learned your lesson? She asked sweetly. Alma kept her eyes down. Yes, Auntie. But in her heart, she had made a vow. She would still enter that competition. Even if she had to do it in secret. At school, she pulled Ms. Nyarko aside. I can't tell my father. He's always away. And if my stepmother finds out again. She trailed off, her voice cracking. Ms. Nyarko took a long breath. All right. Then we'll train in secret. You'll stay after school each day. I'll say you have special classes. So it began. For the next 3 weeks, Alma stayed behind as the sun dipped over Accra's skyline. She studied Ghanaian history, mathematics, science, and public speaking. Her teacher was amazed. You're a natural, Ms. Nyarko said. Your mother would be proud. Alma smiled faintly. She already knew. She could feel her mother every evening, warm, invisible, beside her. The morning of the competition arrived wrapped in golden light. Alma woke before the first rooster crowed. She bathed quietly and dressed in her finest, a royal blue dress with gold trim, the last gift her mother had bought before falling ill. The fabric still smelled faintly of her, the soft scent of shea and jasmine. She slipped out of the house quietly. Madame Elsie believed she was attending a school sanitation day. She would never suspect the truth. Ms. Nyarko waited by the school gate in a taxi, smiling proudly. You ready? Alma swallowed hard. I think so. You don't need to think. You are. They arrived at the University of Ghana campus just before 9 a.m. Hundreds of children from all across the country had gathered. Many wore uniforms from elite international schools. Alma, in her simple dress and scuffed shoes, felt invisible. until she remembered her mother's voice. You are my daughter. You carry my strength. She straightened her shoulders. The competition had 3 stages, a written test, a speech presentation, and a live interview. For the test, Alma's hands trembled as she received the question sheet. She closed her eyes and whispered, Mama. Please be near. Suddenly, the room filled with a breeze. Jasmine, her fear vanished. She picked up her pen. The questions were difficult: history of Ghana's independence, math puzzles, comprehension passages, but Alma felt something guiding her hand. All those weeks with Ms. Nyarko had prepared her more than she'd realized. Next came the speech. Each contestant was to speak on the topic, My Dream for Ghana. Alma stepped on stage, palms sweaty, knees wobbly. The bright lights blurred the faces in the crowd. Then she took a breath, and saw her mother in the front row, smiling. She began, My dream for Ghana is a future where every child, no matter how poor, can go to school. Where girls like me can rise from kitchen floors to classrooms. Where education is not a privilege, but a promise. Her voice grew stronger. Her eyes lit up. Judges nodded. Some clapped softly. One even wiped a tear. The final stage, the interview, the panel of judges, professors, politicians, philanthropists, looked down at her curiously. Alma Danso, why do you want this scholarship? She hesitated. Then decided to tell the truth. My mother died when I was 10. Since then, life hasn't been easy. But she always told me one thing: education is the only thing no one can take from you. I want to make her proud. And I want to help other children who suffer, like I did. Silence. Then one judge, a woman with silver braids, smiled warmly. That's all we needed to hear. The competition ended by noon. Ms. Nyarko hugged her tightly. You did it. Did I win? You already did, she whispered, but official results would take 2 weeks. Alma returned home with the weight of the world in her chest and a flicker of hope burning bright. That night, she lay on her mat and whispered, Mama, I tried. The jasmine wind returned. You didn't just try, her mother whispered back, sitting beside her in spirit. You shone. You rose. Whatever happens next, you've already won. The 2 weeks that followed the competition crawled like snails across hot pavement. Every tick of the classroom clock felt like thunder in Alma's chest. Each passing day brought a new whisper from her classmates. I heard they'll announce it this week. Someone said it's already been decided. But Alma stayed quiet. She didn't tell anyone, not even her best friend, not even the wind. At home, the old darkness returned. Mr. Danso had traveled to South Africa for a month-long training, and Madame Elsie once again wore her cruelty like a crown. You walk like a queen now, eh? She'd say mockingly. Scholar girl. Useless girl. Alma said nothing. She scrubbed floors. Washed clothes. Ate once a day. Slept on the mat, but this time. Her spirit was different, because now, she had tasted purpose. She had found her voice, and she wasn't letting go. Then, on a Tuesday afternoon, as she swept the compound, she heard Madame Elsie's phone ring. Alma froze. Yes, this is Mrs. Danso, Elsie said, lazily. Who? Scholarship. She paused. Her voice sharpened. What competition? What girl? Alma dropped the broom. Elsie stood, eyes wide, the phone trembling in her hand. She what? She asked. Her eyes flicked to Alma. She won. Alma's heart exploded in her chest. She won. She had actually won. For a moment, the compound fell silent. Then Elsie turned to her with eyes filled with something Alma had never seen before, fear. By evening, the whole neighborhood knew. A teacher had shared the news with the headmaster, who shared it with a journalist, who blasted it online. Poor girl from East Legon slums wins national scholarship competition. Photos of Alma at the university spread across social media. Reporters arrived at the school. The headmaster called an emergency assembly. The PTA scheduled a celebration. Alma Danso was a national sensation. When Mr. Danso called that night, his voice cracked with joy. "My daughter," he said, weeping over the phone. "My brilliant Alma. Your mother would be singing right now." For the first time in a long time, Alma cried tears of joy. The next morning, Madame Elsie tried to smile. She made jollof rice. She told Alma, "You should sleep in your bed tonight." But Alma only smiled faintly. She knew the truth. Elsie's kindness was for the cameras, not her. That Sunday, the whole community gathered at the church. Alma was given a medal. Her classmates hugged her. Ms. Nyarko cried as she gave a speech. "She is more than smart," she said, wiping her tears. "She is brave." Alma's photo was on newspapers, blogs, even TV. She was offered a spot at Kumasi Girls Science Academy, the top school in Ghana, with full sponsorship. On the night before her departure, she stepped into the yard, barefoot. "Mama," she whispered, "we did it. We made it." The jasmine breeze swirled, and her mother appeared, radiant, dressed in white, her eyes filled with pride. "You walked the fire," her mother said, "and came out gold. I'm so proud of you." Alma choked back tears. "Will I still see you?" Her mother smiled. "My time of guiding is done. But I'll always watch you. You are ready now." With that, she faded. Like wind through leaves. The next day, Alma stood beside the school bus that would carry her to a new life. Mr. Danso hugged her tightly, his face shining with apology and pride. Madame Elsie stepped forward, eyes watery. "Alma, I was wrong. I was jealous. I didn't know how to be kind. Can you forgive me?" Alma looked at her. Thought of every hungry night. Every bruise. Every prayer. "I forgive you," she said softly. "But I will not forget." She climbed into the bus, and as it drove away, the jasmine wind followed. At Kumasi Girls, Alma excelled beyond everyone's imagination. She topped her class. Joined the debate team. Won science awards. She never forgot the smell of jasmine, she never forgot her mother's voice, and she never let the wind stop carrying her name. Hi bestie, thanks for watching. Kindly comment your thoughts about the story in the comments section below. Please subscribe and turn on the notification bell to be notified whenever I post new story.